So a new online platform is going to allow users to create AI-generated episodes of original series. So the platform is going to be called Showrunner, and supposedly the platform can write, voice, and animate episodes of shows that it carries, right? So these are not like, you won't be able to create episodes for pre-existing IP, but rather this platform will have like a stable of shows, and you as the user will be able to, put prompts in, like kind of like with ChatGPT, and conjure full episodes of the show. And not only will it just conjure it, but you'll be able to control dialogue and characters and shot types and things like that, which I think is really, really important, right? That's a really important innovation, because the thing with a lot of these AI generated image tools, whether they now start being motion video, but even just like pictures, is that really the only control you had was the prompt. And you could try to fine-tune the prompt as much as possible, but if you had if DALL-E, for example, OpenAI's image generator companion to ChatGPT, if you put prompts in and it came up with an image and you wanted her shirt to be blue instead of green, you could put the prompt back in and just say like with a green shirt, but it might not create the same image, but just now with a green shirt, right? So I don't know how much control you'll have like with this, but this is really important to make it an actual practical alternative to like a regular production process, right? Being able to actually generate something, but then be able to kind of manually change some of the details. We have a quote here from the CEO of this company, Fable Studio, that created this, Edward Sachi, saying, quote, "It'll understand the core conflict of your episode and develop it with another character or location, or you can say, I want this specifically to be the next scene," end quote. Like I said, you won't be able to create episodes for pre-existing IPs, and currently there's a waitlist open, for like this free testing version that's going to be lasting until I think like the end of this year. So like I said, this is created by Fable Studio, which is an Emmy-winning San Francisco startup. It won that Emmy in 2019 for innovation in interactive media. It released, I don't think it was just now, I think like a while back. It released an AI-generated episode, or episodes, potentially, I'm not sure, of South Park, the show South Park, to show off the technology, right? Again, you would not be able to do that on the actual platform, but I think just to show the capabilities of the technology. The Hollywood Reporter also notes that, many people point to this video, while not perfect, it was a very potent proof of concept. It was not a particularly good South Park episode, but it was a competent, sensible episode. Like, it made sense. It had lines and characters and jokes and had a beginning, middle, and end, right? And Sachi even goes on to say, quote, "AI can definitely make better episodes of The Simpsons today," end quote, which maybe is more of an indictment of The Simpsons, modern day Simpsons, rather than a praise for Showrunner, this platform that Fable Studio has created. And furthermore, Sachi here, the CEO, has a much longer quote that's a little bit more broad here that really kind of, I think, shows what their vision is and like where they're coming from with all this. Quote, "The vision is to be the Netflix of AI. Maybe you finish all the episodes of a show you're watching and you click the button to make another episode. You can say what it should be about, or you can let the AI make it itself," end quote. So again, the idea will be that users will be encouraged to make their own episodes of shows. And it seems like the idea would then be that the best of which, or the best kind of user-generated episodes, will be featured in the show's catalog, potentially becoming like canon, right? Which potentially creates some issues of like basically like having users create your content for you for free without providing any kind of compensation for it. Maybe if you get included in this catalog, you maybe get something. Maybe it'll be like ad revenue, kind of like YouTube. I'm not sure. But with this announcement, they unveiled 10 animated shows created using AI, created using this technology and this platform. And these shows were of various genres, right? So I think, the idea would be that, you could create an episode as part of one of these 10 shows. And again, it could be as passive as you want, or you could be a lot more involved with it. But for better or for worse, this is a sign of the future, right? Many tech companies have fantasized. Like, I've been hearing about this for like 2 years now at this point, ever since like AI really became super, super popular. Many tech companies have fantasized about audiences being able to write their own stories in response to, the shows that they care about, characters that they care about, things like that. Personally, I am mixed about this. I think there are some obvious cons, but I think there are some pros here that people reflexively ignore or don't think of or try to underplay because of kind of their philosophical kind of position. Whereas, I'm obviously very opinionated, but I build my opinions off of information and thinking about all the different potentialities and trying to weigh the pros and cons. So I think one pro of this is, and this is something that these companies tout, and again, it would remain to be seen how much of this would actually end up being true, but technology like this could enable those without the money or the resources to create content, right? Again, especially if you can manipulate it. Because a big complaint people have had, or something people have said is like, oh, I can't paint, so then I love being able to use DALL-E because it makes me feel like I'm a painter. And then people say, and I would agree with them here, you're not a painter. You just put in a prompt and it created an image. You're not really a painter. You didn't really create it. Like, you put in the prompt to then, it's like you gave it an assignment and then it fulfilled the assignment. But a technology like this, again, it fulfills the assignment. But if you're able to, again, have able to pull those levers, so to speak, to kind of have a little bit more artistic input, that could really change the game for people, and democratize content creation. Think about the random animation enthusiast in Idaho who does not have the training or access to resources to actually create any actual animation, but they have all these ideas. This technology or something like this could enable them to not only scratch that itch as a hobby, but actually maybe create something that can actually be shown to people. And again, there is some artistic voice present there, right? But again, I'm mixed because that's all really great. Will that happen? Who knows? What I do know will happen is that it will probably be exploited by companies who could pay workers to do this, but choose not to, as opposed to some random kid in Idaho who does not have access to that money or resources, right? Again, companies are always just looking to, spend less. So if spending less means having an AI do it versus an actual person, they will do that. And the one thing I am very against with all this is this idea of like, oh, you're watching your show and then it's over and you ran out of episodes. Like, you make your own show. Or you make your own episodes to continue the story. Yeah, as we've learned from like a few decades of fandom and people having very strong opinions about the trajectory their favorite franchises should go, audiences are not smart. Audiences are not good artists or storytellers, right? And oftentimes they don't know what they want, right? That's like what's always great about media and entertainment and content is getting someone else's vision for something and then you being surprised and you falling in love with this thing that you did not even know you wanted but you needed somewhere deep down, right? The CEO of the company, like I said, Sachi, said here, quote, "Our relationship to entertainment will be totally different in 5 years," end quote. So again, reinforcing this idea of I think he called it like a two-way entertainment. I, as a creator myself, again, and I don't mean this in a pejorative sense, but I don't think audiences know what they want. And I could include myself when I am an audience member. I don't think that's something like, oh, this group of audience members don't know what they want because they particularly are dumb or they just don't know or they're not artistic. I'm just saying in general, that's like the whole idea of art is like it being basically art and artwork, whether it's a film or a painting or a sculpture or whatever it is essentially a medium of communication. It could be communicating a thought. It could be communicating a feeling. It could be communicating, anything. So if that process is just reflexive, what's the value there, right? I don't know. I'm not one of those people where it's like, oh, AI is ruining art, this, that, the other thing. I think it is just a different way to make art, and then we can argue about the merits of that, but I don't think you could say it's not art. Because when you put something into DALL-E, yes, you do not have the same control as if you were a painter starting with a blank canvas, but you as the user type text into the prompt. And then the AI model that was created by human beings creates the image. So there are multiple humans at different stages of the process providing their input into the artistic process. Again, you can argue about the merits of that, but I don't think you can argue that the final result is somehow not art. You can say it's bad art, but I think by my definition, it is human created or human a human authored product in some way. And again, nevertheless, this is just incredible technology. Whether it's good or bad, it's incredible that something like this could even exist. And maybe this won't really affect actual mainstream content production, but perhaps it could make for, you know, like an independent creator community, like on this platform, right? That's very insular, but that doesn't make it necessarily bad or good, you know, whatever it might be. It's kind of like with YouTube, where it's not like YouTube has changed theatrical films. It is just a different type of entertainment people consume, right? So I think maybe it could create a new kind of community as opposed to replacing existing communities or processes. And this just kind of speaks to overall kind of my opinions with artificial intelligence. I'm of the mind that, you know, obviously there's specific exceptions and cases. You should look at everything kind of case by case. But on the whole, my feeling is that AI won't take your job. Someone who knows how to leverage the power of artificial intelligence, that person's going to take your job. Kind of like 25 years ago, Google didn't take your job. Someone who knew how to leverage Google took your job, right? There will still be a market for more original content, because ultimately you need original content, because that's what these AI models are using as reference. So eventually, if nothing new gets created, it'll just become self-referential. There will always be a market for original content. The same way there is still a market for, you know, fresh baked cookies, even though Chips Ahoy exists, right? There is still a market for you know, artisanally made furniture, even though IKEA exists, right? The only, and frankly, the argument of like, oh, this is going to destroy jobs, in the actual context of society, I agree that that's a problem, because ultimately what's going to happen to those people who lose their jobs, they're going to be just shit out of luck, because we live in a amoral capitalistic society, sorry, not sorry. So they're going to essentially just be shit out of luck. In a perfect world, as we develop more automation for physical and digital processes, those companies need less workers, they have higher profit margins, therefore then we should be taxing them at higher rates, and then therefore we can have more basic social programs. So if you lose your job or you become unemployed or underemployed, you're not going to like in danger of dying because you can't pay for food or rent or things like that. So in that perfect, and I understand that's a utopian ideal, but that seems to make a lot of sense considering where we're going in terms of automation. So ultimately, if the only thing keeping your job around is technology not advancing, then there's a fundamental flaw in that schema, if you will, right? Again, it's like the idea of like we shouldn't invent cars. But maybe we shouldn't have, but not for the reason I'm about to say. We shouldn't invent cars because then all the guys driving the horse and buggies, they'll be out of a job. That's not a reason to not build cars or invent cars, right? So that's kind of like where I stand. And again, maybe the end result of all of this isn't that AI is going to create content wholesale, like this beginning, middle, and just like here's this product, but rather parts of the process can be streamlined and then tweaked, which could save money for like an independent production. Not because they're greedy, but because they literally have no money, right? So again, I am conflicted about it, but ultimately it's definitely an exciting space that I'm going to keep watching.